things about what you
Okay.
did.
This is my father's world. Is kind of one I've been working with lately. And one thing that I think it's a great piece to practice is how to shape the words while you're playing. So let me find it in my hymnal because I actually didn't get my book out and follow along with it. 83. Okay. Let's see. So, like, the first verse starts off talking about creation, and then the last verse ends with a very victorious call that God is still in charge, which is awesome. So I want those verses to sound very, very different. So when I'm thinking about that first verse, all nature sings, round me rings music of the sphere, so it's like surrounding us. So I want to use like a lot of very flowy chords to make it sound that way. I rest me in the thought, we're going to calm back down on that line, of rocks and trees, skies and seas, his hands wonders wrought. Second verse talks about birds. So what can you do to make it sound like birds? Morning light, declare their maker's praise, he shines and all that's fair. Rustling grass, I want to make that come out when I'm playing it. I hear him pass, he speaks to me everywhere. And then the last verse, I did a key change because it's a big reminder that God's still in charge and that the battle is not done. God will rule and reign on the earth as well as in heaven. So it's kind of cool, but I'm thinking about that the whole time I'm playing it instead of just like absent-mindedly like, oh, I know that I can do octave, chord, or, oh, this is a slow song, so I need to just do a rolling chord. Like I'm thinking about how can I make those words come out. So like, this is my Father's world. I rest me in the thought. It should sound restful. And then like, the birds their carols raise. Let's see what we can do with that. So it makes it sound like a bird singing a duet. I don't know. It's just what I'm thinking of automatically here. And in the last verse, God is the ruler yet. The battle is not done. So I want it to sound very victorious. So when I do that, I'm going to go up a step to F. Of F, my 7, which is E flat, can lead to your 5 really, really well for a great victorious sound. That there, it's not in the hymnal, but I wanted to use my 3 major, which leads to my 6 minor. Your 3 major can lead to your 6 minor really, really well. So that's what I use there. Shall be satisfied and earth and heaven be one. So this is the resolution of that. Throw in your 7 chord right there at the end before your 1. So it's just a way of thinking about the words while you're playing, not just thinking musical patterns. What do I do for this hymn? Thinking, how can I make it sound like birds? How can I make it sound like rustling grass? I hear him pass. 8th notes. Like it's just fading right over. Key to those arpeggios: slow, perfect practice. There's really no secret to it. You've got to go slowly, find out what chord you want to do, identify those notes. When I want it to sound really clean like that, I don't double the top note. A lot of times in a big full arpeggio, I will double the top note, I think I did. I didn't do it there either. There I did. You can double the top note if you want to sound super confident and loud, get an extra note in there, or if you want it to just sound really clean, don't double that top note, just play the notes that are actually in the chord. Like that. So.
How do I do transitions on the piano?
Transitions, well, like in a prelude, I transition every 3 verses, generally, either with a key change and stay in the same song, or I change songs every 3 verses, generally. I may add a 4th verse if I've had a key change in there. So like if I'm doing, okay, let's say we're doing a prelude on the blood, and we start off with Are You Washed in the Blood, and then we're going to go to Power in the Blood. So Are You Washed in the Blood is A flat, Power in the Blood is B flat. So, here's my chorus. I was working with somebody the other day, and we were building a prelude based on the keys that their songs are written in, which is a great way to do your prelude. You don't always have to theme it together. I typically try to theme it, but sometimes I play by key. So like, let's say we do Sing the Wondrous Love of Jesus in C, and then we're going to go to Constantly Abiding in B flat. So if I go, that measure of an arpeggio to feel my next song. Sometimes I need a couple seconds between songs so I can know what I'm about to play next. I hope that helps.
What is a simple way to start using chord substitutions?
Learn a few that work every time. For example, a lot of songs you can throw in the 2 minor before the 5, where it has the 5 written in. For example, let's go with There Is a Fountain. The hymnal has you going straight to a G. Well, you can throw in your 2 minor right before the 5, and it's really pretty. So now we're going to get... It's a really easy one to do. Another one... Amazing Grace, you could sit on the G chord and that would work. Or you can find out that the 6 minor can lead very well to the 2 major, and your 2 major leads very well to your 5, just like your 2 minor leads to your 5. So Amazing Grace just went from what I played before to... my 2 minor, and then I'm going to go to my 5. So use basic patterns that work really well, and then kind of listen to a lot of canon arrangements. That'll help you find chord substitutions as well.
Could you give some tips for playing in 6/8 timing for congregationals?
Yes, don't play too slow. So let's say, I don't know, I think I serve a risen Savior to 6/8. I think that's actually 12/8, but it's the same kind of pattern. Jesus Loves Even Me. I think that works. Yeah, that's 6/8. So one thing about that one is like the word. There's so many notes. Blessed Assurance, Jesus Loves Even Me, I Serve a Risen Savior, He Lives. Those kind of songs have so many words that you don't want to have to play so many notes that it overshadows the words. So for a song like Jesus Loves Even Me, we're obviously not going to go. That's hard to do clean. So we want to kind of let our right hand have the chording, and then our left hand's going to be doing a lot of octaves. Now we wouldn't sing it quite that fast, so it'd be more like... 6/8, you want to feel more like a 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Feel it like that, and it'll keep you from feeling so frantic. I serve a risen Savior, instead of feeling it like, oh, I got all these chords to get in there. No, you don't. Relax. Just... 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, written in 9/8, so we're going to feel it more like a 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So you notice that my left hand's really not stressing. Instead of feeling like you have to feel 6 beats in every measure.
How do you add tenor into the right hand when playing?
Okay, well, when you first start out, you're kind of reading the music, and that learning to read the music really is valuable. So, like, okay, I don't want to do the same one I've already done. Let's go with Christmas songs. Okay, He Touched Me, the old Gaither song. So the alto and soprano, as written. Look at that chord and know that I'm on a C7 chord when I start, and then I go to an F chord in measure 3. So what I do is I'm kind of reading both. I'm reading the tenor note and I'm putting it up here. But that doesn't always work, because sometimes in a hymnal the tenor will octave the soprano. So what you do then is you think about what chord you're on, and then you add that third note in there. So if I'm on an F chord, or let's say a C chord at the beginning, I'm playing an E and a C. So what note is missing from the C chord? G. So that's going to be my first chord. So some of it is just straight reading from the hymnal. The other part of it is know what chord you're on based on the 4 notes that are there, and put that third note into your right hand. One real quick tip for hymn players in general that are just starting out: get 3 notes in your right hand as soon as possible. Do not just read the soprano and alto note and then think all your left hand can do is octaves and octave chord. Like, get 3 notes in your right hand, and eventually you want 4. You want to octave that melody, put that tenor and alto or the other 2 notes in the chord in the middle. So then you end up with. Now that sounded really full, but all I did was octave the soprano note that's already there and put 2 notes in the middle of my chord and play the bass note that's pretty much written there, and I did one little fill in. So it's really simple things that you can add in that take your hymn playing from here to here in about a minute and a half.
More tips for making your left hand stronger when you're already confident with your right hand.
Well, if you're wanting to get stronger in note reading, sight read a lot of left hand notes out of the hymnal. Make yourself learn the left hand. It took a miracle. So sight read the left hand. Or if you're wanting to get stronger in like technique, like your left hand is literally weaker than your right hand, a lot of scales. Scales build finger strength like nothing else can. Even octaves, because what octaves tend to do is they make your pinky and your thumb very, very strong, but your inner notes don't have a lot of mobility. So you want to be practicing those scales like crazy. I know I preach scales quite a bit, but there's really no substitute for developing good finger control, technique, mobility, positioning, unless you practice scales. So practice a lot of what the right hand has to do, make your left hand do it with you.
How do you change keys from A flat to C?
Okay, well, the rule for any key change is if you're in the key, like if I'm in the key of A flat, the progression is the 2 minor, then the 5 major, both of the new key, and then you're ready for the 1 of the new key. So if I'm going from A flat to C, what's the 2 minor of the key of C? Well, the 2 comes from the 2nd note in the scale. What's the 2nd note in the C scale? D. So I'm going to do a D minor. What's the 5 major? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My 5 is a G chord. And then I'm ready for my new 1 chord. So what that looks like is the 1 of the old key, 2 minor, 5 major, and then you're ready for the 1 of the new key. So both of those 2 minor and 5 major in the new key. So here's how it would sound. I don't know, let's say Are You Washed in the Blood to There Is a Fountain. We'll just stay with those two. I need to go to a D minor. So that's the progression. 2 minor, 5 major, 1 of the new key.
What are the easiest keys for a beginner?
Well, C, because it has no black notes, but every key follows the same pattern for majors. Every scale is built on the same pattern. Whole step, half, whole, half. Every key. So don't let yourself think, oh, easy keys. I've got to play in C because it has no black notes, F because it only has 1, G because it only has 1. All the keys follow the exact same pattern. The black notes are no scarier than the white notes. Practice scales in every key. Start with C because it is good for teaching your fingers where to go, but then learn G. Follow the circle of fifths. You could do C, G, D, A, E, B. Make yourself learn all the scales in every key. Don't be intimidated by sharps or flats. They all follow the same pattern. It's just a different color of a note. That's all that's different.
What chord substitutions would you add for a song like Take My Life and Let It Be for an invitation?
Oh, I love chord substitutions in an invitation. That's really the time to do chord substitutions because if you're playing for a congregation, you don't want to be doing too many because it messes up the harmony of what they're singing. So, Take My Life and Let It Be. I don't know. Let's see what comes off the top of my head. So, I went to my 6 minor first, and that worked really well. 6 minor, 2 minor, 5, 1, with a little bit of a 5 in my right hand. So I had a C, E, G with the A on top. So I threw the little C sharp in there. On this, an F augmented with a C in my right hand. Minor and your 2 minor a lot.
When playing congregationals, when do you want to embellish and when hold back?
Let the words kind of guide you there. Like, it is well. We sang that one on Sunday. Well, the first verse is when peace like a river. So I'm going to kind of keep it pretty calm on that one. It's talking about peace. I'm really glad you asked the question that way because there are times to go a little bit more and there's times to hold back a little bit more. And it has nothing to do with like, oh, it's a good flashy verse, I know a cool fill in. It's really about the words. So think about, when peace like a river. I'm kind of holding back, if you will. I wouldn't call it holding back so much as like thinking about the lyrics and it's not really appropriate to be going crazy. When he's talking about peace. I'm not playing as many notes as I can. I'm not being a full orchestra, but I'm kind of keeping it toned down to where we're really thinking about the words. A lot of times, if you'll back off suddenly, like on a second or a third verse, it renews your audience's attention as much as if you did something really flashy and grand. Now, on the last verse of it as well, I'm going to go up to D flat, and we're going to town because it's talking about when the Lord's going to come back. So. Giant chords, huge, big, full chords. Don't be afraid to put your fingers together where your left hand's got 3 notes or 4 if you can add a 4th one. I tend to add a lot of 3s. I don't really know why. Throw in a 4th note. 4 notes in your right hand, like that's the time to really go with it because you're talking about him coming back. Any verses that talk about the resurrection, Christ rose, Christ's return, big grand themes about heaven, I'm going to do a whole lot more on because I want us thinking about how glorious that's going to be.
What's the best key for I Sing the Mighty Power of God?
C, because that's what it's written in. That is a tough one. That really is tough. A student and I were just talking about that song, but it's actually pretty tough to play. Let me see here. Because it holds things out oddly, not because the notes are hard. It's because it's kind of uneven. There's actually no time signature written in it, at least not in my hymnal. Wait, did you say I sing the mighty power of God? Okay, forget what I just said. Let's go with A flat. I was thinking a mighty fortress is our God, which is C. So forget what I just said for the last minute. I sing the mighty power of God is going to be A flat because it's written in that. Awesome. So yeah, go with A flat. But honestly, it doesn't get higher than a D flat in A flat, so that's pretty limited. You could go up to B flat and most congregations would be fine. So in that case, I would add a key change. I would probably go from A flat to A. So if I'm going to go, if I survey the ground I tread or gaze upon the sky, the end of the second verse.
What is a super simple add that can dress up plain chording that will work for fast and slow songs?
Connecting octaves with your left hand. So for example, I'm trying to think of one I haven't done yet because I want to give you a lot to think about. Old Rugged Cross. Whatever chord I'm on, I'm going to find a way to get up to the next one, or I may go down. So I'm just dressing up what my left hand's doing instead of just thinking octave chord. We're finding connecting patterns. That also works really well on fast songs. Let's go with My Sins Are Gone. A big impact between chords. Use octaves to connect to the next chord. Don't just, let's find some ways to connect those. That's also a great one. We call that outlining the chord, and what you're doing is, if I'm on a G chord, my main notes of a G chord are G, B, D. So I'm going to just outline that. And you can do it in any rhythm pattern, whatever fits the song, however many beats you have, all that kind of goes into play. But yeah, outlining the chord, it works for any key, can go up or down.
Does the melody need to fit into the chord during a chord substitution?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you incorporate walk-ups from C to G?
Well, if you're going from a C chord to a G chord, you figure out how many beats you have. That's 5 notes. So I could do it on, let's go with at Calvary. going from C to G. So instead we go, or we could go, just leave out the A flat and hold the A for a half a beat longer. So you can find ways to connect those.
Last night you said going from D flat to D, you add A7. Can you explain that in a different key?
Yeah. Anytime you go from one note to a half step higher or a whole step higher, one note to a half step higher, one note to a whole step higher, all you have to do is do the 5/7 of the new key.
Do you have to play every note when you're playing for a congregation?
No, but I do play a lot of the notes, and I generally try to take the 4 notes that are written in the hymnal. Your first goal is to expand it to 6, and that is octave your bass note, octave, and put your octave your melody, and put your alto and tenor in the middle of the right hand. So you have 6 notes. So your goal is to play all of them. On super fast passages, you know, our Father in heaven, I'm not going to go too many notes. I'm going to let my left hand kind of back off of that, and my right hand's going to play the melody every beat, but it's not going to play the alto and tenor note every beat.
How do you know what chords to play in the right hand when doing a run from C to F when playing an F? You did it mid-chorus on Beyond the Sunset.
So we were in F. I gotta play through it. I don't remember what I did. I did C, E, G, C, I think. I think that's probably what I would have done. Yeah, so if I'm on a C chord, then what usually determines the arpeggio would be the notes that I'm on that chord, C, E, G, C. I don't know if I answered that question very well, but yeah.
Do you know if there's a hymn book that has keys written above the words? I don't play by notes. I have people write in notes to change above the words.
Okay, I don't know the age that we're talking about, but if I were you, I would get an adult learning book. Alfred makes a really great one, and I would learn to read the music so you can identify the chords. You don't have to become a super strong reader. You just got to be strong enough to be able to identify what chord it's on. Like, don't shortchange yourself and think, well, I just play by ear. That's pretty cool enough. Like, going ahead and make yourself learn to read the music. I know it seems tough, but it probably wouldn't take you very long. It's kind of like you already speak the language, you just don't read it. That's the same idea. So get a book, learn the basic notes so that you could at least write in your chord names yourself, but not write in letter names. Like, learn to read that stuff. Like, learn to read what all those little black notes and white notes that aren't filled in mean. So take the time to do it. It really is worth it, I promise. You can do it. Anybody can do it, I promise.
This is similar to that. I haven't had any theory and I don't know chord numbers or keys. How can I get more knowledge to help with my hymn playing?
There are some great theory books out there. There are some great, like, hymn playing series, Hymproviser, produced by Majestic Music. You can purchase it on Amazon, I know. They've got a really great pattern for, like, teaching hymn playing basics, and it comes with the art of improvising in a workbook.
It's saved in our highlight.
It is saved in there? Okay,
Good
so
to know.
yeah, you can go up there and see what that book is. A good theory book, like, just search for Music Theory Book 1 on, Amazon or a place like that, and get yourself a theory book and learn those chord names. A hymn player needs to have stronger theory, I think, than just about anybody, because, like, we're so focused on doing more than what's on the page. And if you have a strong musical theory foundation, you're going to be very, very confident that. A good scale book, the Alfred scale book that I talk about a lot, has an explanation of how chords work too at the front, but it's all very very based on patterns, so you can learn it. It's really not challenging, but take the time and develop really strong theory.
What is your tip for teachers who have students who can't grasp certain theoretical concepts?
Find some other resources to supplement. Like, if one book explains it a certain way and it does not quite click with them, like, some people have a harder time with the way Alfred explains things. I've had students that did really, really well with a series called Piano Town, whereas others did great with a series by Faber and Faber called Piano Discoveries. So everybody learns a little bit different. If you can tell, like, there's one concept that they're struggling with, like maybe it's fingering or hand position or understanding how chords work, then Google that topic I mean, you can even look on Pinterest. There are worksheets and things like that, and find some other resources to supplement in. Like if I have a kid who's struggling with left-hand note names, I found a game on my iPad, and we'll just pull it up real quick, and then have a note name identifying game to supplement what the book may not be giving them.
Is it easy to sing and play?
Actually, it didn't used to be. It used to make me really, really nervous, but now to have to sing without playing is terrifying to me. Like, it's extremely nerve-wracking. I feel like my hands don't know what they're doing. I do tend to play less whenever I'm singing. Like, I pretty much kind of like do more simple chords. Like, you'll hear me do big chords and maybe some arpeggios, but I don't do as much of the like fun technical stuff as when I'm just playing.
What is the left hand's job during an arpeggio?
Oh, well, let me think about it. I don't know that I sometimes really identify it. Let's see, standing on promises. Like an octave chord. So keep the rhythm. I guess I should have said it that way. The left hand's job is to keep the rhythm during an arpeggio. Like, don't let the right hand get so carried away with an arpeggio that we lose the rhythm. Because ultimately, everything you do has to fit within that time signature. You cannot add any fill-ins if it doesn't fit the time signature. Nothing is so cool to do on the piano if it distracts your audience and the congregation, and then it loses your place in your song leader has to look at you awkwardly. It's really weird. So make your arpeggio fit the rhythm, and sometimes that can help by letting your left hand keep good quarter notes.
You don't do a flowing left hand very often. Is there a reason?
A flowing left hand. I do, but it depends on the song. If I'm playing like Take a Moment and Live. Somebody asked about that one the other night. That song doesn't call for a flowing left hand. But if I'm doing Is Your All on the Altar, let's say take it in E flat, that is going to have a flowing left hand. People end up requesting like old style gospel songs which have a really different style. They don't have a flowing left hand, but generally for invitations I use more of a flowing left hand. Depends on the song. I don't know if you were on at the beginning when I did This Is My Father's World, but like that one had much more of a flowing left hand, so you know. So it depends on the song. I do them a lot though.
What are some things to make Holy, Holy, Holy more powerful?
Oh man, that's such a great song. Think about the words, picture it. Literally picture what that looks like when all of those angels are around the throne singing holy to the Lord. Let me find it here in my book. 213, that may not be the right one though. There's like 12 versions of that song in this book. Oh, it is. Okay, so it's in D. Instead of just doing an octave in your left hand, do an octave with the fifth thrown in the middle. So instead of throwing that A, so it goes from to around the throne casting down their crowns, so I'm going to be doing a lot more arpeggios, so I might be doing like that's a good way to make it sound more majestic, is use triplets in your right hand or your left hand. You know, you could go left hand doing triplets. It's called 2 against 3, and it sounds really, really cool. lots of arpeggios, big chords. Instead of just doing an octave, throw the fifth in. That makes it sound more majestic.
What electric piano do you recommend?
My favorite is a Yamaha Clavinova because it has a real piano feel. I played a really great Yamaha keyboard last night at a service we were in, and it wasn't a Clavinova. It was like more of the basic electric piano style. The Clavinova is like a little bit a step above. It's usually on a console. It doesn't usually like carry around. I think they may make it in a carry around, but don't quote me on that. But it's got a real piano feel. Electric keyboards aren't my favorite. They really aren't. But if you get one, make sure it has weighted keys and it's a full keyboard. Yamaha to me makes the best. I played a really good Roland, Roland, I believe is how it's said. And yeah, electric keyboards aren't my favorite, but if you're going to get anything, I would go with Yamaha. But Yamaha is also my favorite acoustic brand as well. So you can't have a Bosendorf or get a Yamaha.
Since you knew how to play by music, how long did it take you to play by ear?
I kind of started wanting to play by ear younger than my parents let me, and that was very wise on their part because I would have ended up relying on my ear more than I should have too early. So that's the danger in noticing, like, parents, if you notice your child has a little bit of an ear, and then it's like, oh, push them towards playing by ear. It's like, no, help them develop a strong music foundation before they start playing by ear. That is super vital. I started playing by ear in church when I was about 11 or 12. I started playing a song or two with our family singing, and then I started playing for our church's youth choir. And like the music theory foundation was already there, so playing by ear came very quickly. Since then, I've progressed a lot because like I think I was probably pretty blocky and tried to play too many notes back then, and now I realize you don't have to be the full orchestra. But it did help me develop a lot of I guess finesse is probably the word, like because I had played a lot of classical music and a lot of sacred arrangements, so my theory foundation was there and I wasn't letting myself be sloppy.
How would you play Life is Like a Mountain Railway as a special?
As a special, well, I don't know. I don't think I've ever played it, but let's see what it sounds like. Where you've kind of got a good, easy back and forth windshield wiper style in your left hand, and your melody in your pinky and your thumb, and you can add a lot of licks, you know. That's a really good one. Make it sound like a train horn. Keep your hand on the throttle and your eye on the rail. I don't know if I got it right.
That's our last one.
Okay.
How do I add more to special music even though it's supposed to be focused on the vocalist? My playing sounds bland.
Don't be afraid of sounding what you think may sound bland if people are singing. If there are 3 people singing a soprano, alto, and tenor note, you can play less. Like, for example, I don't know, let's take If It Matters to You, It Matters to the Master, because the ladies' trio at our church just sang that. When she's doing the verses, you know, that sounds pretty bland. There I did a fill-in because she doesn't sing there. She doesn't sing. So I'm keeping it really simple because there's somebody singing a lot of words and I want them to hear the words. And I do kind of try to keep it a little bit simpler. You don't have to be playing, but you can keep it simple when somebody's singing the words. So don't be afraid of playing less.
Play Wonderful Words of Life.
Oh, that's great.